Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. Andrew Musgrove here. Hope you guys are doing well. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button as well. If you're on the audio channel, please leave us a rating and review. It is just a matter of hours before Newcastle United kick off against Arsenal in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final down at the Emirates. And more than 6,000 of you will be in the away end. It will be one hell of a party, and hopefully your attendance can help push Newcastle United over the line to a positive result ahead of the return leg up here to James Park in the first week of February. We're going to talk about that game because there's plenty of questions being asked beforehand, specifically about team selection and the way Newcastle United will approach the game. So we'll get into that. We're also going to talk about the home of Newcastle United, and it's all about St James's Park, or is it about a new location for the Magpies? A little bit of an update to come. Stick with us throughout the show for that. Really interested to get your views and thoughts on where Newcastle United will call home for the next 100 years or so. Just before we get on with the show, this is sponsored, as usual, by NordVPN, and I want you guys to take advantage of a very special discounted offer of a NordVPN plan exclusive to our listeners and viewers of the Everything is Black and White podcast. Keep yourself protected, help support the podcast. One subscription can be used up upon 10 devices, so it's value for money. And like I say, get that extra peace of mind that your devices are secure, especially when you're out using public Wi-Fi. Well worth the monthly subscription. Thank you to everyone who has signed up so far. And if you've been thinking about it, please do hit that link in the podcast description box and help us continue to bring this content to you for free. Right. Newcastle United versus Arsenal in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. Is anyone feeling confident? Admittedly, it is a ground that Newcastle United have struggled at. Last win away from home against Arsenal came in 2010-11. Andy Carroll with a goal that day. Newcastle won 1-0, and they were fifth in the league that season. They actually ended up finishing 12th. It was the season Chris Hughton was in charge then. Alan Pardew was, but that was a big, big win. One of Chris Hughton's biggest wins as Newcastle United manager. It was their first win against Arsenal since 2001, and that win came at Highbury. And then you have to go back to 95-96 for the last victory. So it's not a ground that is easy for Newcastle United. It's not a ground they enjoy visiting often, especially before Eddie Howe. It was a ground they absolutely got battered at. But fingers crossed tonight can be different. I am positive. I am feeling optimistic. And that might come as a bit of a surprise to you, regular viewers and listeners, because I'm known for being a little bit cautious, a little bit pessimistic, some might say. But I am feeling confident about tonight. Newcastle are in a great run of form. If not tonight, then when? When will they beat Arsenal at the Emirates? They've gone down to Old Trafford in recent weeks, a ground which is just as daunting and just as haunting as the Emirates/Highbury, where their record is just as bad. And they beat Manchester United, and comfortably. It should have been by more than the scoreline that was. They hadn't won there since 2013. They hadn't won there since 1972. Not too dissimilar records here, okay? Newcastle United have got the monkey off the back when it comes to Old Trafford. So why not go down to the Emirates and pick up a victory and rid themselves of what is a nightmare ground to visit? I'm confident. 2-1 for me, ladies and gents. Let me know in the comments what you think the score will be. Now, look, of course, it would be a lot easier tonight's task if they had Fabian Schär and Bruno Guimaraes. They do not. Both missing through suspension, which is a big, big blow. But Newcastle United against Tottenham, Botman was back. Hopefully, he'll be past fit to play. Came off with a bit of cramp. Eddie Howe in his press conference said he would ask Sven how he was feeling. He would get the thoughts of the medical staff and then make a decision. I think he will play. I do. I think he'll be in the starting 11 alongside Dan Burn. And minus the goal that Spurs scored, Botman looked assured, he looked confident, he looked like he'd never been out of the side. So I'm not too worried about the absence of Fabian Schär. I also think actually Dominic Solanke is a better option than Gabriel Jesus. I think he's a better striker than Kai Havertz, who might not even be playing tonight for Arsenal. So if he managed to handle Dominic Solanke minus the first 4 or 5 minutes, he'll handle Gabriel Jesus or Kai Havertz if he is indeed past fit. So no concerns there. The biggest concern does come in the middle of the park. Who replaces Bruno Guimaraes? I would like it to be Lewis Smiley. I don't think it will be. I think it will be Sean Longstaff, which won't go down well with everyone. The reason I would like it to be Lewis Smiley is because I think what we've seen with Bruno in recent weeks with a more advanced role, his passing ability has really shone through. He's got the magic. He's got the ability to unlock defenses with a pass that just splits them. Does Sean Longstaff have that? He doesn't. He's much more about the running. He's much more about getting a foot in, disrupting the opposition. He's not a man who creates goals or chances. I think Lewis Miley is the better option. And I throw in Joe Willock as well. I think he's a better option than Joe Willock and Sean Longstaff when it comes to replacing that passing ability of Bruno Guimaraes. But big game, big stage. And I do think it'll be Sean Longstaff. Let me know in the comments who you think it will be. It will be a big blow, as we say, to miss Bruno Guimaraes, but there's a great feeling around the club. 5 out of 5 in the league, 6 out of 6 in all competitions. They are going really, really well. That momentum is with them. And whoever comes into the side to replace Bruno Guimaraes has an opportunity to show what he can do on the biggest stage, live on Sky, live on ITV, millions watching across the world. You have a chance, don't you, to really make yourself a legend by getting yourself and your club to a final of a major competition. And hopefully, if Sean Longstaff starts, he can do that, because wouldn't that be the perfect way to end his Newcastle United career? There's plenty of speculation that he's going to leave this month, and if not this month, in the summer, with Everton and Leeds tipped to come in and battle for his services. Okay, recent weeks he hasn't featured because of the midfield three. They've been performing so well. But what an opportunity it is for him, not only to remind people of what he can do, because let's not forget, it was only 6 weeks ago we were saying that Sean Longstaff was maybe the key to Newcastle United being successful. He had that amazing run of starting games and Newcastle United not losing, and then he lost once. He's got massive critics, he has, but I think if he starts, he will be up for this game, and he hopefully will be able to put in a massive performance and help get his boyhood team over the line, and bring up, hopefully a win, if not a win, a draw, to the second leg here at St James's Park. The rest of the team will be unchanged. Anthony Gordon on the left, Jacob Murphy on the right, Tonali, Joe Linton in the middle, Livramento ahead of Trippier on the right, left back, of course, Lewis Hall with Alexander Isak up top. And, missing Bruno, as we said, massive blow, but having Tonali and Joe Linton still there is huge. I think the midfield battle is absolutely key. Whoever wins that tonight wins the game. Of course, they'll have the likes of Declan Rice and Odegaard, Mikel Merino, but it's not an Arsenal midfield that fills you with dread. It's not. And Newcastle United, especially with Julian and Tonali, can get the better of them, and they can get in their faces, show a bit of physicality, as well as bringing the quality when it comes to taking the team forward, picking the right pass. They can get a positive result tonight. And of course, Alexander Isak, the one Arsenal fans will be watching. Well, if you are watching him and he does score tonight, you can add an extra 10, 20 million pounds on the 150 million price tag that's currently on his head. I think Isak will relish playing at the Emirates. Again, massive stage, but it's just that carrot, isn't it? That motivation to get Newcastle United to another final. I know they have the second leg to come, but if they can get a good result, it sets themselves up really nicely for the first week of February. And while Newcastle United are missing two key players in Fabian Schär and Bruno Guimaraes, Arsenal are dealing with a bit of an injury crisis and missing key players. They are missing Saka, who, of course, is the big name. He is electrifying on the flank for Arsenal. If he was playing, I'd be a little less confident about tonight. I think he's absolutely brilliant. He creates goals, he scores goals. He really is a talisman, and he will be missing. There'll be no Ben White, there'll be no Tomasai, no Nawani, and no Raheem Sterling. Kai Havertz might be back. Timber will be back, but how much fit will they be? It's anyone's guess. But they are suffering. They are missing key players, none other than the Bukayo Saka. So that is a huge loss for Arsenal, and Newcastle United can take advantage of that 100%, because really, you're looking at informed wingers. Anthony Gordon is there. Jacob Murphy as well. Brilliant against Tottenham on Saturday, creating chances for Alexander Isak. And Alexander Isak, 7-7, or scored in 7 consecutive games, rather. 9-7 he's got. And he could add to his tally. So they're missing big players. something for Newcastle United to take advantage of. It's interesting, is that when you face Arsenal, the question that I would be asking is how seriously we'll take this. They're second in the league, 6 points behind Liverpool. Liverpool have a game in hand. Is their focus elsewhere? Well, Mikel Arteta said in his press conference that they want to win every single competition. That is their aim. So he certainly, I think, will be playing his strongest side possible. And the other one is about the needle in this fixture, because in recent seasons there's been an undercurrent of hatred. Is that too strong of a word? There's certainly not been any love lost between the two sides. Mikel Arteta particularly getting wound up when he's on the touchline at St James Park. And Kai Havertz should have been sent off for a tackle on Sean Longstaff. Bruno should have been sent off for a tackle on Jorginho. Newcastle United seem to be a bit of a bogey team for Arsenal, especially up here at St James's Park. And you wonder whether that's something Newcastle United can tap into. They seem to have that nasty streak about them again. And if they can get into the faces, as I've said, of Arsenal and wind them up, that could be the perfect ingredient to getting a good result tonight at the Emirates. But interestingly, Mikel Arteta, as we're about to hear, doesn't think there is a rivalry. He's denied there's a rivalry, which is interesting, because I would have said there definitely is. This is what he had to say on it.
Rivalry?
Yeah.
No. No. But from my side, at least, no. I mean, I have full respect and very good words towards them and what they do, how they do it. So it's not rivalry, it's willingness to win, but against any opponent on Newcastle.
But the last couple of meetings have been really intense and there have been a lot of incidents. Can you put your finger on why, when these two teams come together?
It's a lot of against a lot of opposition, because the level is so high. The willingness of the players and the coaches and the teams to win is there, and it does raise this season. When you see a lot of games, you see something different. The temperature is different from the first or second game of the season.
And just finally, Eddie said earlier today that he doesn't care about being popular or playing in a popular way. I think you've said that a few times as well. Can you see that in his teams, that he plays to win, not necessarily to win kind of popularity awards?
Well, we want to win in our way, and how we feel identifying our way of playing. That's for sure. Can you always do that? The answer is no, because it's an opposition that plays and tries to make this thing difficult for us, but the idea is clear from our side.
So there you go. No rivalry between Newcastle and Arsenal. I'm not sure I agree. I think he has maybe been a little bit forgetful as Mikel Arteta, because he certainly lets himself get wound up when he is up here to James's Park. And like I said, I think that's something Newcastle United can tap into. I just think they've got to be physical. I think if they're physical and they set the tone really early with a big, hard, strong challenge, Dan Burn sliding in, get the crowd going, I think that's the way to go about it. Then hopefully an early goal and build on it from there. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Mikel Arteta's comments there in his press conference. Let me know how you think tonight is going to go. Just now, then, we'll talk about the news or the update on St James's Park. It is what everyone is waiting for. We're waiting for the club to publish, to announce what they're going to do. Are they going to stay at St James's Park? What is their intention? Or do they intend to move away? People I've been speaking to, one thing that's been made clear to me is that if they do indeed decide to move away from St James's Park, it will be to a location inside the city limits. They don't want to be moving too far away from where they currently are. Transport links, the hospitality within the city, Newcastle United has a big ripple effect. So moving outside of the city centre, I think, will have a detrimental effect on a lot of aspects that are important to this city. I don't think too many people would be keen on traveling, especially to a location where you can't get a metro, you can't get a train, increased traffic. Keeping in the city centre means that you can also keep those important match day of traditions of going to your favourite pub, getting on the metro, getting on the train, parking up somewhere. So it's going to be in the city centre if indeed they do decide to move. Nothing being decided yet. Now, according to my colleague Lee Ryder, he's written a piece on the Chronicle Live website. I'll put the link into the podcast description box. Newcastle United have been presented with two breathtaking scenarios, one being the extension of St James's Park up to 60,000 seats, which doesn't seem that many seats when you consider it's already got 52, an 8,000 extension. Is that enough to deal with the demand that is currently there? Is 60,000 a nice round number? I would like to see it go a little bit higher, 65,000, 70,000, but how easy that would be to do at St James's Park, and whether it would be cost effective, is something that those making decisions will be looking at, getting the calculator out and working out what is best value for money. At the same time, you've also got to work out whether Newcastle United lose anything in terms of atmosphere and the magic by moving away from St James's Park. So is it worth spending a little bit more money than you would for less seats, but keeping that 12th man power that you do get at St James's Park? It's a cliche, but it is there. Or is it worth spending a little bit more money and getting more for your money, getting more seats, 70,000 seats perhaps, which is the other option that Lee Ryder has written about, called it Breathtaking, city centre location. It sounds wonderful. Can't wait to see what these images look like. But it's certainly something that everyone is keeping an eye on. Is Leazes Park the location for Newcastle United's new home? Well, that wouldn't be, I don't think, a quick move to get done. There'd be a lot of red tape. There'd be planning. It could take years, from what I've been told, to get that signed off, because there'll be people who care more about the park than they do Newcastle United. And that doesn't go down well with everyone, but everyone's opinion is valid here. You know, people who have more affinity with the park than they do the club, they have to be listened to just as much as Newcastle United have to be listened to. And this is what those people making decisions will have to be dealing with. It's not just about what they intend to do, what they want to do. There's so much more that goes into it. The cost, the building work, the access, roads, you know, where do they play as well is the other thing. And that's what we're going to talk about now, because there was a report this morning that suggested Newcastle United would end up playing down at the Stadium of Light. They would be ground sharing with Sunderland. Really? I know it's happened at other clubs across Europe. I know some big clubs share grounds, none other than Milan and AC Milan, but that's not going to happen here. Sources on both sides of the divide have squashed that report. Sunderland going well in the Championship. They could play in Premier League football next season. Newcastle United, they're not ground sharing with them, with Sunderland. No, not at all. I mean, could you imagine the chaos that would ensure? That would be unbelievable. And it wouldn't go down well with Sunderland fans at all, understandably. So that's not going to happen. Whatever happens with St James's Park, you would imagine it would be similar to the last extension, where they would down tools for, I don't know what it was, 2-3 days in the week, and then allow them to play games in a kind of a half of a stadium. You can go back and see the pictures. That looks amazing, to be fair. That allowed them to continue to play at St James's Park while the building work was going on. It was a complete knockdown at St James's Park and a complete rebuild. That is slightly different. If it is simply just moving into Leazes Park, they may do what other teams have done and keep playing while that building work is going on, which would make sense. But I think those are the two options. Obviously, either move somewhere in a city centre location, probably Leazes Park, or stay at St James's Park and expand. It's going to be costly. It's not going to be done overnight. Even when the club announce what they intend to do, you're probably looking at the best part of 2 to 3 years before anything starts to get manoeuvred. I think if they decide to stay at St James's Park, it might happen a little bit quicker. But if they're looking elsewhere in the city centre locations, plenty of planning, red tape to jump through. So it's going to be interesting. But let me know in the comments. Do you want to stay at St James's Park? Do you want to move and see a 70,000 brand new seater stadium? You know, I've flip-flopped. And the last video I did, I said I was ready to move. I still feel like that is probably the best idea, especially when it comes to boosting PSR and the finances Newcastle United can have to spend on the squad. Moving would bring in a lot more money. It would be more cost effective. But leaving St James's Park doesn't half pull on the heartstrings when you think about it. Like I say, let us know in the comments what you would do. It's not a decision that I envy making. It's not a decision I would want to make at all. Rest assured, those making it are looking at every possible scenario, every possible solution, every possible conclusion. No stone left unturned. Well, ladies and gents, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I've been Andrew Musgrove. Hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, enjoy the game tonight. Here is fingers crossed that it is a positive victory for Newcastle United, or at least a point. I'll see you guys very soon.